Good morning, everybody. Well, I was told there were going to be 100 people here, so this is frightening to have so many, but also a good thing. I think the first part of the tourism industry that's important is just showing up, and you have done that. So I'm not going to tell you what to do. Well, you want to go back to the first. We're going to go this later. Let me talk a little bit first. So let's go back 30 years. And if you wrote a letter to the state of California, because you're thinking of visiting them, you would have received back that letter that said, office closed, return to sender. We closed our office 30-some years ago. And so you'll go through, I'm going to tell you kind of what happened from there, and then I'll show you the California program was kind of the end result. So that's what the slides are. So I'm not going to change this for just a minute. I just want to kind of set it up how we get to here. So, but you're going to go through this period of where you deny it happened, and then you're angry. I mean, a bunch of you are angry that your office closed, I'm sure. You feel that? Yeah, okay. And then you're going to go to acceptance, and then you're going to do something about it. And that's kind of what we did. And so the fact that you're all here, maybe you are going to be able to do something about it. And I don't know. I'll tell you what California did, and you'll take pieces of it, but I can't tell you what to do. I just know you should do something. Tourism does matter, and it is a big industry. So here's the other thing, is there's never been a better time to be in tourism, leisure travel. And that's what I care about, not the business travel. That's a different deal, and that goes to a different problem. I mean, business travel is hard because when the economy goes bad, businesses cut their travel budgets. There's not much you can do about that. However, we are doing some things about that, and I'll talk about that later as far as U.S. travel, because it's stupid to do that. You want to go forward, you add travel to your business. The reason why you travel for business is because you make more money traveling than you do when you stay at home. I mean, so that's pretty simple. Businesses shouldn't cut their travel budget. Anyway, that's another subject. So anyway, so leisure travel. Never been a better time to travel, to be in leisure travel. And here's why. Is because it is different. Let's look at the national stage. So we now have, for the first time, our country is going to promote itself. We're the only developed country in the world that didn't do that. You know, you see Paul Hogan on the spots saying, put a shrimp on the Barbie. You know, you've all seen those spots, right? Well, you think that makes sense. You think we'd be doing that. We weren't doing that. We never did that. And it took really a new person to come in and run the U.S. Travel Association. Roger Dow, some of you saw him speak the other day. You know, what you learn about lobbyists, at least in Washington, D.C., and I didn't know this, but lobbyists have kind of got a bad reputation. But when they're your lobbyists, it's a different deal. And they can get some stuff done. We did get this done. So here you're going to have the United States of America spending $200 million to invite people to come to our country for the first time. Great. That's a great thing. You don't have an office of tourism. You're not going to be able to take advantage of that. So now California, let's go down to my state. We didn't have an office for tourism either, but now we have $50 million. California has a $50 million program. Our money's not in trouble, hasn't been in trouble. We are in control of our own destiny. You think we're going to take advantage of that money coming in to the United States, those people coming to the United States? You bet we are. And I'll show you the program we're going to do that. So we will benefit from that. The other thing is that in our state, we now have 58 convention and visitors bureaus that have their own TID. And so they're going to be able to take advantage of it. So when I say there's never been a better time for tourism, it's because people want to travel, and there's now people that can market to it and get it, which marketing does work. Matter of fact, you need three things to be fully effective in this business. First of all, you need product. You need something tourists want to do. And everybody can really claim that, and you certainly have that. The other thing you need to do is staff. You need a really dedicated group of staff, that really smart marketing people that can go out and invite people to come to your state. And the last thing you need is money. So you can work pretty well without all three. I mean, without three, you have to have one. Two, you're better, and three, you're fully effective. Now, many people have great staff, a crappy product, and money, and that works. You know, you can, you know, some people have that. I mean, that does work. You know, McDonald's is an example. I mean, McDonald's is incredibly successful. They have staff and they have money. Do they have a great product? No, they have consistency. Yeah, so that's another deal. But so, so the thing is now in California, we have those three things. San Francisco, we have those three things. The United States of America, we have this money coming in, and we have certainly a great product with the United States. The staff is being collected now, and I'm sure we're going to get great people to run that. So you need to kind of get there, I think, is what you want to do. And so let's go back to what happened in California. So we closed the Office of Tourism. I was at 28 years old at the time, or just after that, and I was invited to a meeting where we were going to talk about, we got to do something about this. And we formed the California Travel Industry Association. This was about 1980. And I was probably the youngest person in the room. I became the executive vice president of an attraction, and I needed to figure out, we were mostly a local attraction, I needed to figure out tourism because I knew I couldn't make it on locals alone. I needed to expand the market. And we were 45 minutes out of San Francisco, a lot of tourists up there. I thought, well, God, I got to understand this travel business. So a bunch of people got together and said, we ought to, California has this big industry, we ought to have an industry association to talk about doing something about this. And you know what? Everybody got together and believed we should do that, but they were worried about it. The hotel people were worried, and there was 2 hotel associations, and they were competitive. The restaurant people said, I don't know how much power I want the state to have. And so it fell apart. Didn't work. And then that was the dark days of tourism in the 80s. We did have an Office of Tourism come back. The person that was appointed to the job was a travel agent that helped the governor get the job. And so she didn't really know anything about tourism. Being a travel agent doesn't mean you can market the state of California. We figured it out. However, she did learn over time, but by the time she learned it, she was out of office. And there was a time where we all fought about tourism in California, and we couldn't get our act together. And we were worried about the big guys are getting bigger, then that Disney's going to benefit, and anyway, it was a mess. And so there was a time one of our leaders said, even if you gave them $10 million, the government wouldn't know what to do with it. And there's some low points here. Then what happened, which changed our lives, was this huge crisis that maybe this is your crisis. When you have a 1989, something happened that changed tourism in California forever. You remember what 1989, what happened? Perfect. That's exactly right. So having an earthquake on national TV during the World Series is really bad for tourism. So here we are. Now, thank God it was October. But this thing because everybody thought tourism would just come to California. People have been coming, started with covered wagons, and they kept on coming, and they kept on coming, and they kept on coming. You don't need to promote California. Why would we do that? Boy, when it all goes away, it sure changes how you feel. Disney Island was empty for a while. And so that's the spark that really brought us all together. We have to do something about this. Hotels were empty. And the thing was, it really only affected California. San Francisco, there's just 2 areas that were damaged. But over and over on the TV, those cars being crushed and the burning marina played worldwide. In Paris, the headline of the paper, 220 people did die, and it was a horrible tragedy. In the paper in Paris, it was a huge earthquake in San Francisco, 5,000 die. Well, nobody retracted that. That was everybody believed. Everybody died in California. They thought we were slipping into the ocean. And it wasn't just San Francisco. It was L.A. They think the 2 of them are neighbors. They don't, we're saying, no, we're 500 miles apart. L.A., Disneyland's a long way from San Francisco. Anyway, international travel stopped. What we did learn is it takes 18 months for people to forget we have earthquakes in California. But it did bring us together, and we began to search for a new way to fund tourism promotion. So the guy that we brought in, we did get somebody that knew what they were doing to be appointed to the Office of Tourism. John Palmer was his name. And he came up with the idea of a non-agricultural commodity board. Remember, in simple concepts, get over it. Like milk, got milk? It's a commodity board. Raisins, dancing raisins, they're commodity boards. So in California, we have a lot of them. And so we thought, well, maybe that'd be a good way to do it. Let's do a commodity board. So we did the first ever non-agricultural commodity board. And I don't think there is another one in the country at this point in time. And I don't even know if you can do it, but that's what we did. And I guess from here, let me go through how this worked from there. And so let's go through the slides. So the governor is involved. And so he doesn't really have any authority over us. But you got to have the government, because especially in foreign countries, having the government involved gives you authority that you need to have. We also have the Secretary of Business, Transportation, and Housing is our chair, He or she rarely shows up to the meeting, so this is our government oversight. We don't know who it is this time. It doesn't really matter as far as that goes. So then, because we don't get any money from the government, so they don't really care. They love us. We don't ask them for any money. Boy, is that a good thing. We have 37 commissioners that are fully representative of the industry. Every person's represented as far as that goes. There are 2 co-chairs. I'm one. This is a volunteer, by the way. I'm just doing it for 2 years. And then Rusty Gregory owns Mammoth Mountain. And by the way, you know the thing about tourism is dead-end jobs? Can I just pause for a minute about that? You know, is that a bunch of bullshit? Yeah. Rusty started as a lift operator. He owns Mammoth. Okay. I didn't do as well. I started as a hydrofoil deckhand at SeaWorld, and I own SeaWorld City Pass. But I bet you, if you think about, Roger Dow, who you saw the other day, Roger was a lifeguard for Marriott when there were 6 hotels. Then his boss said, "Look at Roger, stay with me, stick with me. We're going to have someday we'll have 100 hotels." And he became a senior vice president of global sales, 15,000 people, employees, people employed in the business, and ended up then became U.S. Travel Association. And so I bet you, if you started out as an hourly job in the tourism industry and now are manager level, raise your hand. So where's the dead-end jobs? You guys aren't dead-end people. You look like you're successful to me. We got to kill that deal. It is, in fact, the way people get. I used my hourly job to help get me through school. And I was promoted up through the ranks, just as all you are. And that's how the business works. So there's some misconceptions about travel we need to fix. And U.S. Travel is doing that. So that's another discussion altogether. Sorry, I got off on a tangent.